Hello YouTube, Conductor165 here, and today I'm going to ask you one question. What is the best type of Thomas & Friends merchandise? Today I'll be going through as many as I can cover, and I would like you to tell me in the comments or on social media or whatever you can access me by, which is your favourite and why. So let's get started. Starting off, we have Golden Bear as presented by Mavis. So as you can see, the Golden Bear range is very big, very chunky and made of plastic with very low detail. However, the good side of this is that they did actually make an awful lot of Golden Bear, including a vast range of characters in multiple different sizes due to being tender inches or short, and there was the range that actually would talk, like this Mavis here, only those would be a tad bigger. I believe that a lot of people do tend to collect these, so I can see why. There's a big collection to collect, and they are quite nice little toys, especially for children if they want to play a bit rough. But as for actually being a collection, yeah, I can see that happening. So, what I think about the Golden Bear series, they're good, they're very well built, and the quality of them is amazing. I'm not going to collect them daily, but I see them as a collectible item, so maybe every now and again for me is good enough. I'm going to rate Golden Bear out of 5 stars, a solid 3.5. Next we have Trackmaster. Trackmaster has a massive, even bigger range than Mavis and still goes on today in the form of the more modern motorized. However, I feel like they let themselves down using the reboot characters because they're too high for tunnels and they don't fit in well. But if we're talking about the Tomy, Hit Entertainment or Motor Road and Rail era, any of those are much better because even the classic sounds are just so nice to listen to. You get a massive range of rolling stock as well as the characters, some remote control as well, even a Thomas that would actually make steam. And yes, they did do that in the later edition, but I'm talking about the metallic blue one. So personally, I think Trackmaster really is up there in the collection. I believe the Trackmaster is very fun to do, and a lot of people make customs out of Trackmaster very easily, which I guess I could do someday if I wanted to myself. So personally, I think Trackmaster is a very good collection to do, due to how it's easy to get on eBay as well. However, if you are collecting Trackmaster, be warned, because people do tend to sell knockoff Trackmaster. For example, there's a Reneus model called Renessa, but it actually looks better than the reboot we get today. So, Trackmaster is really good, but there's the risk. So, what I think about Trackmaster, I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 5. Here we have the Thomas & Friends minis. Now I'm going to be honest, I'm not a fan of them at all. I tend to find them useless. I feel like they're a bit of a waste of plastic because they're not motorized, and the only way you can actually have fun with them, if you are talking in a motor sense, is either with a set or with the modern Trackmaster engines. But even then you need the adapter engine, which is the Thomas & Friends Adventures. So personally, I find them utterly useless and a waste of space and a waste of money really, because I've just had these SpongeBob ones and they're just up on a shelf. If I'm rating these, I'd give them a 1.5 out of 5 stars. I find the minis utterly useless and not really worth the collection, if I'm being honest. And here, as next, we have ERTL. Now I believe ERTL is a really good collection to do. I don't know if many people actually do collect ERTL, which I don't know why, because personally I like it as best, because it is purely die cast. Well, not purely. It has a plastic running board, but a good at least 80% of the model is die cast metal, with the detail printed on. It does lack a lot of detail, but some of the models do date back to the 1980s. So it's a bit of a vintage collection to get into. They're very cheap and easy to come by other than the UK exclusives, which do fetch quite a lot if it's in good condition. However, there's one problem I do have with ERTL, and that's size comparison, and this is just one example. Percy the Saddle tank engine is considerably larger than Gordon the Express engine. Yeah, I don't see how that works. Other than that, if I was to rate ERTL, I'd give it at least a 4 out of 5 stars if I'm being honest. Because they did a huge range too, and they did actually do a lot of boxes in the years that they produced the Thomas & Friends. And also ERTL did actually sell other stuff too, like Postman Pat. So yeah, I believe ERTL is very good in my opinion, and definitely worth a collection if you're interested. Up next is one that I think a lot of people will find interesting, which is Wooden Railway. Now personally, I do believe that I do need to collect a lot more of this, because my collection of Wooden Railway is very slim. However, I do know that the quality of the old Wooden Railway and some of the new is actually up to standard. So these models are nearly purely made out of wood apart from the odd plastic wheel, and have magnets that are sadly not unipole, meaning that they will only connect in one way. However, the shocking thing is, the Thomas you're looking at on screen now is actually a fake, because the magnets are backwards. I got this just from a friend a very long time ago, and it's just sitting on my shelf now. You can see how the middle wheels are cracking and all. But I do have at least 4 genuine Thomases, and I do know that there is motorised wooden railway with the Thomas and Friends characters, which I do have one of the vintage. And again, there's a huge range where it comes to wooden railway, and if you do ever get duplicates, you can make a good few customs out of them. So if I was to rate wooden railway, I'd give it, again, a 4 out of 5. Because I believe it is easy to get to, similar to Trackmaster, between 10 and 20 quid per engine. But I do need to do a lot of collecting myself. But yeah, that's what I give for wooden railway. Personally, not that bad. If you're waiting for me to get to him, then here you are. Here is the Backman Thomas and Friends. So Thomas here will be representing all the Backman, I know. And I must say, Backman, you really did extremely well getting Thomas to look like Thomas. The body has been made from a complete new tooling from when Backman started making the Thomas characters, and the detail on it is just amazing. The lining has been applied really well. Now if you're comparing my model though, it has had some scuffs from times I fixed it, and yes, I said fixed, because my Thomas has actually had a few wiring problems, which is a common issue with Backman, that the motors are not up to standard. I know some people on YouTube have actually had a Backman model Thomas and Friends character and the motors died on it. So apart from that motor issue, which apparently is only caused if you speed your Thomas characters around the layout, like racing them. But if you can get replacements and it will do them good. As you can see there, we've got a solder mark on the side of him. Yeah, I'm not happy about that. And one other problem with the Thomas is that he's actually not got a front coupler, so he can't do any pulling, annoyingly. But the Backman Thomas range is actually quite big. They've lost some things, but they're bringing some things back. And they're also getting some new things. And recently, in the last few years, they have done the narrow gauge Thomas and Friends range, which wasn't a thing. I mean, I know the Reverend Audrey did it, but Backman is out there in the model Thomas and Friends range. So if I was to rate Backman, I'd give it a 4.5 again out of 5. The only issue I have is the motor, and also the face. A lot of people complain that at least Thomas and Percy's face do not work. The G-scale in my version, Thomas faces are much better, and you can actually buy custom faces for them. Or if you're really skilled, you can make your own custom face. This one's interesting. This is I believe it's the Diagnosi Thomas and Friends range. Now, as many of you know, you can still buy magazines of Thomas and Friends today that have these terrible plastic Thomas characters in them, with plastic wheels, and they don't look anything like the models. I have a few myself, and they are utterly useless. I'm surprised I haven't thrown them out yet. However, before them, for a few years, they produced these, and these were actually given in the magazine. I currently own 3, including Thomas, one of the Sodor Ironwork twins, and Oliver. Now, as you can see, Oliver at least is not that detailed, but he is much better quality. And he is mostly plastic, but he is actually really well built, and he actually reminds me a lot of ERTL, especially the connecting rods, just a tad bigger and made out of plastic. The coupling system is fairly easy to understand as well, and I don't believe many people talk about them actually. So if I was to rate this toy, I'd give it a 3.5, purely because it's good, but it's not the best possible. Next, we have Take and Play all the way to Adventures. Now personally, I really do like the Take and Play and Take Along, because they are also die-cast metal with a little bit of plastic, very similar to ERTL, but they did make a huge range of these as well. And as time improved, the detail got better and the wheels actually improved. I believe they do have unipole magnets on them, so they can couple any which way possible, and they're much more classic. And again, there are a lot to go by, so you can make customs with them. Now, here's where I don't like them. The Adventures. These are like the future versions of these, because they're descendants, if you will. Now, the difference between this, and this is the Adventures, this is Hurricane from Journey Beyond Sodor, and you can see here he has twistable couplers here. This is so he can connect to Trackmaster and the minis, as mentioned earlier. Now, I must say, the face and the detail is good, and it does feel like die-cast, but I'm a bit off-put by it. whereas I'm much more of a fan of this. If I was to rate, and I'm talking about all of it, including take and play, take along, and adventures, if I've missed any in between, I'm talking about this timeline, I'm going to rate it a 4.5, because there's a lot of good and bad about it. So yeah, that's what I think. And last but not least, we have the Hornby James. He'll be representing all of the Hornby Thomas & Friends range. Now don't get me wrong, the Hornby Thomas & Friends range is good. Sadly it is discontinued now, and more than likely won't be coming back. But Hornby has its downsides with the Thomas & Friends range, and that being that most characters are not actually based off the real life counterparts. Mainly talking about Emily. Because I believe they use a Dean single model, and they should have used a Sterling single model. There's pictures on screen now of what I'm talking about. But yeah, they didn't use the right class on a lot of characters. However, they did actually make characters that Backman didn't, that being Murdoch and Dart. I think they did maybe a few more, but I don't know. A lot of characters were discontinued way before they brought him back as well, including I think it was the Sodo Ironwork twins. They're long gone, and also Hornby Thomas & Friends now is starting to become quite a bit of a collectible, reaching prices of between 100 to 200 for Gordon, Henry, James or Edward, and over £1,500 for Hornby Murdoch, used. So Hornby is becoming a bit of a collectible, but in my eyes, the quality of the engine isn't that bad. If you have Hornby track and you run a Hornby engine, they do run decently well. But there's just the odd things that don't match up to the TV series. Like for example, James here, he doesn't look exact, but he is actually based using the similar moulding and tooling to what the Reverend Audrey used. That being I think it was a 9F or a 4F Fowler triangle locomotive. This is actually the same engine, just with extended running board, bogie and face. So overall, if I was to rate Hornby, I'd give it a 4 out of 5, just because of it not being completely accurate and they messed up. And the reason why they're out of business, if you don't know by the way, is because the licensing was too expensive for Hornby to keep up. So what they've had to do is revoke the license, and now they can't produce the Thomas range anymore, which we really miss. Anyway, thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed this video, and now I'd like to hear from you, the viewers. Please comment below, out of 5 stars, your favourite type of Thomas merch and why, and give me the star rating. I'd be interested to know, because I'm still new to all this social media and YouTube stuff, so I'd like to know what the fandom really appreciates most, whether it be Trackmaster, Wooden Railway, Hornby, Backman, ERTL, you know what I mean. So yeah, thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!